All right, kiddo, Smurfy. So we are in pose mode. She's probably going to come in like this. When you open her, she'll be like, she might be blue because I made it blue down here in custom. See? You can make her blue in solid mode. And then if you go here, I had to get her material back on and her eye material back on, which is very good. So, and then you'll be in object mode, and then you'll have to when you're in object mode, if you want to pose her or animate her, you select the armature. Select these bones. Usually it says armature right here where it says Smurfette mesh. So see it lights up, but see this little, I'll put armature here because it's different in each app, armature. And then, so then down here, her bones, you can see them. So when you go into object, you have to select her bones because you can't select her mesh. I just selected her mesh. So you don't have an option to go to pose mode. You go to edit mode, and then there will be her mesh. And you can edit her mesh here. Just like that. You can mess with it. I'll undo that. Command Z. So I go to object mode if I want to select her mesh, and then I can go to edit mode, sculpt mode, whatever. And then you select the armature, her bones, and now you can go to pose mode and you can play with her bones. And then if you hold your mouse over this area, your outliner editor, and if you select a bone and you want to see where it's at in here, hold your mouse and hit the period on the numpad and it will jump down to that bone, see? And then now if you want to, now I won't go into that right now, but just so you know, you can come up here and you can turn this thing on. And then you can hide, like, that makes it so it's not selectable. And I don't know why the eye isn't on there because we're not in, or maybe you can only do that, yeah. We went back out to object mode and you can hide her bones there, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure why the eye isn't showing right here. Probably because see how many bones there are? They just go so many. Anyway, you can go into pose mode, select the bone, and you can hit H to hide it. Alt H, but oh look, there was a bunch of bones hidden. But I think, I don't know. Go down here to her bones. Usually you can hide them and see them up here. But you can hide the whole hierarchy, all of them at the top of the hierarchy. But not sure why they're not showing there. I must not be very smart. Well, they have changed something here, and Alex teaches about it in his class, and I'll tell you what that is. So basically, we're in pose mode, and I can select a bone like this one on her finger. See, let's see, like that, and then there's extra ones I think, so that you can connect. And then, so if after you've posed everything, you can drag and select and hit pose, clear, transform all, and it will pop back down. So And then you can select a bone like the wrist, like this, and move it. And it helps to pull your cursor out like this. So, you know, it'll move slower. And you can also watch the movement here where it's moving. And then you can click this, drag down, and select them all, and then also move it like this. So, but the best thing is to kind of drag your cursor so it pulls out, and then it'll move slower. See, it's up here. And if you move it closer, it's going to move a little bit faster. And then you can turn on auto keyframes down here. Right here, I'm in the dope sheet. I'm going to switch to the timeline. And then you can hit Alt and drag that down. Oh, I've still got our animating on there, but if you don't, you have to turn on this view, click this only show off so you can see. So she's animated, right? I put keyframes on this. It'll show you where the keyframes are. I just did scale, so she's only animating on her scale, and I animated on her empty, which is in object mode. It's this. See that? So that's why it says empty. You can click here and drag this out. And then you can put this like this, which is so cute. And then you can click and drag and select all these, and then hit delete if you want to delete them on there. I'll undo and put it back. I think this is the size I set her at. When it's, yeah, or maybe this one. I don't know. Anyway. Okay, so I'm gonna Alt, and I'm gonna pull this down. I'm gonna put this, drag this scrub bar out here, right here. And I'm actually just gonna delete these. I think, is this the size she's at? Why does it not say rotation and scale 0? Okay, so I delete the frames, but basically she came in at a funny size, and I was trying to figure out the best way to set her back, because you can do something like where, see how it says rotation and scale? Well, we can scale her up like this. This is on her empty object, and I can scale her like that. And I can hold my cursor over scale and backspace, and she come back to 1. So whenever we make a mesh like this and we model stuff, we have to do the apply, which is basically object apply, Control A for shortcut, rotation and scale. If you hit the keyframe when you're doing that, you don't have to really be too concerned about position, because she will, until you learn about the see what happens if you move her away from her bones. This isn't where you move her. So Command Z to undo that. You move her either on her bones, because now she's rigged. You can move her like this on her armature, and this is her empty item. So if we animate her like this, we can I'll get her back on her. I'll undo that and get her back on her empty item. So this can be animated, and I can I'll just hit I, and I have it set so just her scale is, so her position isn't gonna work, but for scale is fine for now. So I can animate her scaling, like I can put her here, and then I can hold your cursor over here and hit I, and then I could wait, but I could go like this and hit I, and then I'll move the scrub bar back, select the keyframes, Control D to duplicate, just pull them out to 50 and put these in the middle, just click and drag and then hit play, and then she'll go up and down. So basically her animation is right here on her empty object, this. So we can do that, and then we can come here and well, first we have to start with the keyframe on there. So we can go now and select her armature, go to pose mode, select her bone, and we can look over here where it says upper arm, just so we know what bone it is. And then there's a hide button right there. So and we can also select bones and then hit H, which would hide them all, and then Alt H to unhide them. And then there's a way to kind of hide the bones while we're animating. It's in the class. We'll learn it together. We'll both take the I'm starting some classes on just the animation, because you can spend forever modeling and coloring and painting and never get to animating. And I'm hoping that with you, we'll get there. So we can get to animating. And we can learn together, break some barriers. But basically, you can put your drag your scrub bar here. And then we could have this bone selected and hit Control I. That inverts the selection, and then hit H, and now we'll only see that bone, and we can turn on this to this auto keyframe. But so I'm going to make sure that the view only shows selected is now on, and notice there's no keyframes on our arm yet, just on the empty. So we can now move our arm, and that will put a keyframe, and we have to have that start frame. And then we can Control duplicate that to give it a smooth movement, pull it back, and with the auto frame on, we can now animate it. And since it's set at start frame 1 or 0, click that 0, and then 51. So you can move that, but we'll just leave it at 50. Now her arm will move back and forth, and we can see it. So you get the idea on keyframing. And then if you like select that off, and then you hit Alt H to unhide the other bones, and let's say we animate her leg here, and I'm going to hit the period on the num key to zoom in. Now I can scroll back and forth a bit to see that better. Sometimes my wheel doesn't get, and I have to hit that. My wheel gets kind of slow. So now we're on that bone, and notice we don't see anything because there's not a keyframe. So I'll pull this back to 0, and I'll hit I on the keyframe, And there's her thigh. It's a thigh bone. We can see over here. This is the thigh bone. And if we click, there's the hide button there. And now you can select the keys and control Shift D to duplicate, and then put it in the middle, and then just we can make your leg go up like that. So now it'll be like, wait, she didn't scroll back. Did I forget to? Let's delete that, and let's delete that, and then we can hit pose, clear transform on either location, rotation, or everything. We located it. So wait a sec, what happened? Delete that. Anyways, we can hit pose all. As long as I'm just selected the bone, it will clear that. But the auto keyframe's on, so it's gonna keyframe it. But there, sometimes I forget to move like the key, or so now I can duplicate this. Go to here. So here it's turning. See there on there, and she's kind of squatting too far, but you get the idea. And now, again, we can hide the other bones by hitting Control I to invert the selection, and then hit H, and then we see just that one. And then another thing that is helpful is, let's see, we're at pose mode. We can come up here to the overlays, and we can turn the opacity of the geometry up and down so it's not so strong, whatever. Anyway, sometimes I hit keyboard shortcuts and turn things on and off all the time. But there, yeah. So I really want to get into animating. I spent years and years and years modeling. I love it, and coloring and drawing, but I'm never going to get anywhere if I don't start animating. So there you have it. And I'm going to do this with you, and I'll show you the class that I'm taking just to learn some more about the timeline, the keyframes, and how to save your animations and move down the timeline. It gets exciting and more complex. But I'll hit Alt H to unhide her bones. I'm really excited that she already has bones, and we could do her nose or whatever. But you can see now we got to get back to that bone we were on that we animated. And here's another way. And then we can also view, instead of showing only the selected, we can turn on to see what we got animated right here. And then we have the 3 different animations on this. So it's on our thigh, it's scale, location, and rotation. And then we just had it on here, the one. So that was cool that worked. I have it set to edit preferences, scale. I'm gonna go ahead and turn these on. I think they'll be to all 3. So, and then come down here in the corner, save preferences. It has an auto save right there, so it should save. But I'm in preferences, animation, keyframes. And then it'll choose which it just helps to think about practicing. And then I'll click back on the move. This is the move, and hide this was her bones. This was her arm. And so you can just animate on one of these X or Y's and set it. But it looks like that it automatically did that. So, but there she is in some of her bones, but you can see how complex, but you're a good reader. You can read all this really quickly. You'd be so much better than me, so fast. So this is what we animated on her. What, her little leg. And then another way to tell what's animated is, okay, let's select her bone, her arm. I think I can turn on sync. Let's see, sync selected, or that's sync visible range. That's fine. So anyway, I think it's around here, but you'd select this bone and it might select the one up here or in the viewport. Oh look, did it select that? Let's watch. So we only have 2 bones animated. There's her arm and her thigh. Oh yeah. So see, it's jumping here. You can find your bone this way. Select the thigh, select the upper arm. And then we have it selected here and in the viewport. So now we can hold our mouse over here and hit the period, and there it is, there, right there. And then it should say, let's see, this is the bone that we have selected. And then we have the properties of this bone right here. This is the data to the bones, and this is the bone in pose mode. And then up here at the very top of our armature, which is what you're going to see, this is where the animation info is at. So it doesn't really say exactly what leg, but it will tell you down here. And you'll be able to see it, but sometimes if you're like me, you'll hide things and you'll be like, what did I do? What did I do? Which one was that? Oh, this was owner. Delete that. Anyway, we can turn this back on to now. Show only selected. And then we can find, like, by playing it. This was her upper, this bone, I think. Yeah, it's animated. But see, I can click this bone and it's not, there's no keyframes. And that's why here, it was just really new. You can have these bone collections, which is super easy to do once you figure out how to do it. I've watched it a few times, but you can basically, Alex has a really cool course. You can select a bunch of bones that you're not going to be animating and add them here and then hide them and just put them in different layers and have some that you're using. Because look, she's rigged, and it takes a long time to wait and to rig, which is part of the reason why a lot of us artists and animators never get anywhere, because we're so busy rigging. But that's cute. She looks like I have no idea why this, I think that bone is for something to connect to, for like a game model or something. But she needs a little bit of fixing there on her weight. So I've messed her weights up or whatever. Now remember, I can hit transpose, clear, transform, all. So it'll clear everything if you click, hold your mouse over here, A, select, pose, clear, transformation, all. see, I made a shortcut for mine. It's number 4. So if I move her arm and move her stuff around or whatever, and I mess her all up, her leg, her foot, and then I want to clear it, then I just hit 4 because to make a shortcut, you just go here and you go to transform, clear, all, and then you right click on something and you can say remove shortcut, and then right click assign shortcut, and then it'll say press a key, and so 4, put it back. So that way I can just hit A to select all and then hit the 4, and that clears her. But she's going to jump back if she's animated. And so the only thing you can do to keep from this is popping off or popping around is you move the keyframes down here, and you can move off the keyframes. Use your scroll wheel and then end it out. So then staying off. And then you can also come in here and just turn that off so they don't play. But I didn't turn the top one off because you only show selected. Now I can go to click that off. But I'll get her to a state where she's like standing back up. And then I can click that off. And now if I pose her neck, her head, there we go, like that. And then I pose her like this. If I move this, she won't pop off. And I can move my keys down. And then there's a way to save all of these animations in the dope sheet, which is a whole nother video or whatever. We'll take that together. It will be so fun. And now we can animate other things and just play with her bones and get to know her. And her eye bones. I wonder if her eye bones are working. Let's see really quick. I think they are. Yep. Cool. Fun, fun. So it just takes a while to rig a lot, and well, first to model everything and then to rig everything. So I have a whole bunch of rigged characters that I really want to animate. So it'll be fun learning this with you. It will take time, but you know, it will be so fun. Ooh. I'm really happy with all that I know. I used to load FBX models and go out of my mind because I didn't know how they would work, and I get so excited. Okay, this is so long. Anyways, you can ask me questions. I can show you short things. Okay, I love you. Good night. Goodbye. Hello. Good morning. Smurf time.